Hello, stock traders. I hope all of you had a fantastic 3-day weekend. We start this week with a short week looking for positive returns in the stock market. This has not been fun times over the last couple of weeks. We hit and got up to that 200-day moving average and got rejected from there. And it has been a downward trajectory in the last 2 weeks. Although in today's video, I want to talk about a certain catalyst that's coming up that no one seems to be talking about. One that in the past, which has been a huge bullish thing for the stock market and looking for big returns coming forward and just wanting to put this on your radar. I'm also going to give out a stock that has had really significant insider activity that on Tuesday morning I will be loading based upon my strategy, looking forward for a nice move. But before I get going, if you could do me a favor, please hit that most amazing and wonderful like button. Also, if you haven't done so before, please subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you get notified when a new video comes out. I do have a Patreon group. I have a link in the description down below. There is a level for you. There are lots of professional traders inside of there. You not only get me, but you get other different traders. Depending upon what level you go into, it is well worth it. Another thing I want to do is if I get 100 likes on this video, then I am going to give out my entire plan for the next day. And so you will want to hit that most amazing, wonderful like button so that you can get those and get some insight into some of the things that we share on our Patreon and in our private Discord. All right, well, let's start talking about this catalyst that's coming up that no one seems to be talking about. And this is the midterm elections. And you're like, well, why is that bullish? Well, whenever a certain party has complete control over the House, the Senate, and the presidency, there isn't any gridlock, and the stock market loves gridlock. And in the past, the party that has control has lost control at midterms. That is something that seems to happen every time. So we would see if that was to hold true this time in November, at the beginning of November, we would see the Senate get to be more Republican, and then also the House for there to be some gridlock where the Democrats can't just put through any single law that they want to put through or any kind of act. Those are very damaging to the stock market. Politicians tend to do a lot of damage to the stock market, especially Democrats more than Republicans, because it's all about taxes, more taxes, taxing the rich, quote unquote, giving it all to poor, quote unquote. Well, this is very bad overall for the stock market. And if you're a stock investor, you know this to be true from when Trump was in office and the nice returns that we had when he came into office. Also, other times in history of where we've had gridlock, whether it be a Republican president, Democratic Senate, and maybe a Republican House or a Democratic House. Whenever there's gridlock in the stock market tends to go up in those situations. There is a very high likelihood that Republicans will gain control of either the Senate or the House, or maybe even both. And that is something that I think would be a huge catalyst for the market. It would keep politicians from being able to enact very damaging different things like Inflation Reduction Act that actually does not help inflation at all. In fact, it makes it worse. Any kind of spending, any kind of printing makes inflation worse. And that is the biggest reason why the market is not moving up right now. Not because of recession fears, but mostly because of inflation and going on. If we could get some relief on that, I expect that we will see a rally here, especially if we can get some gridlock in the overall Senate and House. All right, so let me start talking about the market, and we're going to kind of cover a few things and do a quick little recap of where things are at and where I see them coming. So we've had this crazy move down here. This white line is the 200-day moving average, and we got rejected from there, and ever since it's been not a party on the stock market. We definitely have an A, B, C correction, and this may have been wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So that might have been the 5-wave sequence that I was looking for. It's so hard to count these different waves. But the other indicator to pay attention to is whenever the RSI is overbought, then that's a signal that we are heading towards a correction or heading towards a correction downwards. So we are still barely bullish, but hanging on by a thread. There is a support line here that's going through that we have not crossed under, and so this is something that I'm watching as far as a support trend line goes. Here we have our support trend line. It looks like it is holding up, and so so far this is holding up. But we are dangerously close. And if we get below this line, that would be a move downwards. Now, I think we have an ABC, and that we start to just kind of hang out here a little bit above this line. I think going down below this line, there will be lots of selling. That is something you'll need to watch and something that you will need to be very risk off if it happens. 391 is that level right now going into Tuesday. And so that's the level that you kind of need to think of. As far as resistance levels here, we have this open gap to the upside here that I like as a chance to get filled right here. This is right at 405. And getting above 405, we would probably see maybe a little bit pull back to this red line, which is the 400 level. And we can see this moving upwards from there. I don't think there's a lot of sellers. It seems the VIX is under control. As we take a look at the VIX is definitely not out of control by any means of the imagination, being at 25. And so, you know, as long as the VIX is under 29, in my opinion, it's never great. You, of course, want it to be below 24, but being at 25.47 is not awful. But some of the levels to look for on the VIX is 29. At 29, I would start to be very risk off. This is something to watch in correspondence with the S&P 500 to give you clues on market direction. Of course, if the VIX hits 46, and this is something I've said before in the past in my videos, if we get a massive downturn and we get big time selling, I will turn more risk off in my own strategies. I will stay on the sidelines with lots of cash, and I will wait for the VIX to get above 46. If it does, I will load the boat. Every single dollar that I have, I will put all into the stock market, because in the past, when the VIX has hit those levels, we have had massive upturns in the stock market. All right. Let's start talking about this stock that I was talking about earlier and get in and kind of talk about it. This is ticker symbol AZEK, a ZEK company incorporated, and it had a director load shares reported. This was reported in after hours on Friday. Director loaded shares at an average cost of $18.47. Multiple transactions were used, and that is the average weighted price that the director used on this. So I like this transaction very much. I do like director transactions. They tend to be very well informed of different things that are going on in the market. Directors know what's going on in their company. And so I like this for that reason. And I also like it because of open gaps. We have some nice open gaps here. We have one up here right around 21, and we have another one way up here at 33. And I like those for a target. The other thing to kind of keep in mind here is going to be your 200-day moving average on this stock. And so that is a resistance level at 27. If we got to there, I would probably be a seller in this stock in that kind of instance. But I will be looking for an entry point on this in my personal portfolio on Tuesday morning. I'm hoping I can get shares really cheap. If you are a watcher of this and you're watching this on Tuesday morning, if you could sell me some shares right around 17.50 or maybe even 17, I'd really appreciate that. But anyway, I am expecting this to move up and to do very well after the director buy. Please hit that like button. Let's get to 100 likes so that I can do an entire morning game plan like I do with my premium members of my Patreon group. That is what I'll do for you if we get those 100 likes. I wish you all the best in the stock market. Have a fantastic trading day, and Raythoven out.